Welcome back. Wait, I still have the same shirt on. So I have not actually, we're still in LA. We're here for a fundraiser. And we're not good at being...
There goes the mystery.
Yeah. So good to have you back, though, to our First Things Foundation blog about love. We got Riley, Andrew, Gina behind the camera. So today I want to talk about something I just think is fascinating, and it has to do with love, of course, but it also has to do with a little bit about Africa, Aristotle, and then Japan. So I've been reading a little bit. There's an article I want to share with you, but not before I tell you about Africa, where I've done a lot of work. Our guys are heading back there. We've got a new volunteer heading to Sierra Leone. Did you know in most of West Africa, not everywhere, but in most of West Africa, to be alone is to be ill. So I used to work in Mali in West Africa, and first of all, just so you know, the doorbell is this, and then people are like on you in your own house. What I'm saying is before they get to the door, which is usually not a door, it's a curtain hung over the door, you hear, and then they're in your house, and then they're like, hi, underwear. But anyway, why is that? Because privacy is not such a hip thing. Westerners notice it right away in West Africa. There's not a lot of privacy. They think you're ill if you're alone a lot, and it turns out that Aristotle, the Greek philosopher, agrees with them. Aristotle wrote a lot about society, as most people know, but he was not a big fan of the individual. People think, oh, he was a big individualist. Nah, not really. In fact, the Greek word for individual is idiote, right? To be an individual is to be an idiot. That's the Greek parallel, which I find fascinating because that seems kind of wrong, right? But it's not actually wrong. That's the way the Greeks interpret it. But it's a lot worse than that, I think, if you really take a peek. Matthew Bremer, a writer for Slate magazine, recently wrote an article. It's fascinating. Go check it out. It's called Death by Loneliness. I highly recommend you check it out. What's happening in Japan right now is people are highly individuated. And they live on their own, often in small little apartments. And do you know they're dying? It's true. 30,000 people apparently in 2014. 30,000 people died alone from causes they're not always clear about. So seriously, they find them dead and decomposed in their little boxy apartments. What's happening? Well, sometimes it's heart disease, sometimes it's all kinds of things, but it's being brought on, and they believe it's being brought on by a lack of community. In other words, there's such an intense individuation of human life that it's actually causing you to be ill. 30,000 people is not a couple. Well, I didn't make this up. Matthew Bremer wrote about it. Look, you guys are looking at me like I'm crazy. So why am I telling you this? It's fascinating because people in their 30s, in one case, two sisters died who had been in a fight with each other and had lived apart. They both died within the same year from the same loneliness disease. Two different people, related to one another, but separate. Do you think loneliness could kill you?
Yeah, I think there's a reason that they put really dangerous people in like isolated spaces and they don't get better from it, right?
I didn't think about that. It's a punishment.
It's a punishment to be that alone.
In the Middle Ages, what was the great punishment? Was to be sent away. But I happen to think Aristotle's right. It's dangerous to be alone, possibly deadly. I think community isn't just something you live in. I actually think it's something from which comes life. Mom and dad together, baby. I think we live because we relate. I think they're the same thing. And when you don't relate, you slowly die. I think that's true. And I think it's not just like a mental construction. I didn't just mentally construct that as a cool way to describe it to you. I actually think it's happening to you, that you are dying slowly when you are exiled and not in relationship. And so what do we got to do? Well, I think love in this case is love for the other. And love is life. And I think that's the point of this blog, is to remind people, as much as it's painful sometimes to spend time with people you don't always feel good about. Feeling is not love, right? Feel good about. It might be in their company you're actually gaining health, despite how painful they are. Because nobody's denying that. I don't think, Riley, are you denying? Some people are painful.
Yeah.
Their presence is painful. But could it be in the pain you find life? It's an interesting concept. Japan, Matthew Bremer, Slate magazine, super interesting. Thank you for tuning in to yet another blog from First Things Foundation. the shirt's mediocre, but we were gonna fool you with a new one, and we failed. Tune in next week. New blog on first things, what's important, love, and the concept of health and happiness. Peace. Peace. Peace.